The human heart beats around 100,000 times every day. Your heart is about the size of your fist. The heart can continue beating even if it's separated from the body. The heart pumps approximately 2,000 gallons of blood daily.
White blood cells play a crucial role in our immune system, defending our body against infections and diseases. Neutrophils are the most common type of white blood cells. They are known as the first line of defense against bacterial infections. Lymphocytes are important for immune system regulation. They include B cells and T cells, which are responsible for antibody production and targeted killing of infected cells, respectively. Monocytes are large white blood cells that help to clean up debris and dead cells in the body. They also play a role in presenting antigens to T cells. Eosinophils are involved in allergic reactions and defense against parasites. They release toxic substances to destroy pathogens. Basophils are involved in allergic reactions and release histamine, which causes inflammation and helps attract other immune cells to the site of infection or injury. Macrophages are phagocytic cells that engulf and digest foreign substances, pathogens, and cellular debris. Dendritic cells are specialized antigen-presenting cells that capture, process, and present antigens to T cells, initiating an immune response. Natural killer cells are responsible for recognizing and killing infected or cancerous cells in the body. They play a vital role in immune surveillance. Mast cells are involved in allergic reactions and release histamine, which triggers inflammation and allergic symptoms. Plasma cells are responsible for producing and secreting antibodies, which are essential for immune responses against pathogens.
"20 awesome facts about blood platelets." Platelets are small, irregular-shaped cell fragments present in the blood. Platelets are produced in the bone marrow. On average, there are about 150,000 to 450,000 platelets per microliter of blood. Platelets play a crucial role in blood clotting. Platelets release clotting factors that promote the formation of fibrin, a protein necessary for clot formation. Platelets release clotting factors that promote the formation of fibrin, a protein necessary for clot formation. Platelets have a lifespan of about 7 to 10 days. Platelets are crucial for wound healing and preventing excessive bleeding. Platelets contain granules that release growth factors, which help in tissue repair and regeneration. Platelets contribute to the immune response by releasing cytokines and chemokines. Platelets can aggregate to form clumps, known as platelet plugs, to seal damaged blood vessels. Platelet counts can be affected by various diseases, medications, and lifestyle factors. Low platelet counts, called thrombocytopenia, can cause excessive bleeding, while high counts, thrombocytosis, may increase the risk of blood clots. Platelet transfusions can be used to treat conditions characterized by low platelet counts or dysfunctional platelets. Platelets are also involved in other physiological processes, such as angiogenesis and inflammation. Platelets contribute to the repair of injured blood vessels by forming a temporary plug until the vessel can be fully repaired. Platelets have a role in preventing infections by trapping and destroying bacteria. Platelets can release serotonin, which plays a role in vasoconstriction and regulating blood pressure. Certain medications, like aspirin, can interfere with platelet function and reduce their ability to form clots. Platelets have no nucleus but contain essential organelles, including mitochondria and granules. Research is ongoing to explore platelets' potential application in regenerative medicine and targeted drug delivery.
Hello, how are you? This is our first video of the circulatory system. We are going to talk much about the structure of the circulatory system, or the physical components of the circulatory system, before we talk about how they work and all. So we're going to be looking at the structures of the organs and the associated vessels of the circulatory system. So our learning outcomes, we want to, by the end of the lesson or this presentation, we should be able to state that the mammalian circulatory system is a closed double circulation which comprises of a heart, blood and vessels, which we shall look at in detail, particularly the arteries, the arterioles, the capillaries, the veins and the venules. We should also be able to describe the functions of the main blood vessels, of the two systems which are present in the circulatory system, which are the pulmonary circulation and the systemic circulation. All right, and the vessels we'll talk about them in more detail. And we should also be able to recognize these vessels from electron micrographs, or from photomicrographs, or from microscope slides. Okay, and then we should also be able to explain the structure of the muscular arteries, the elastic arteries, the veins and the capillaries, and how they are related to their functions. So the cardiovascular system is the main transport system of the body. Remember, we are talking about transport. And transport, we say that the main function of transport, we want to circulate nutrients, to remove waste from the body, and to transport oxygen, etc. So we say that we needed a pump, we need a fluid or a medium of transport, and we also need vessels or connecting pipes. And in this case, the media is the blood, which flows in closed tubes or vessels. So major functions of the cardiovascular system: to transport nutrients, to transport hormones, to remove waste for gaseous exchange, to provide immunity. We shall talk about that at a later stage. Also to carry nutrients, and so that and also the major function of the heart is to pump blood through the vessels to facilitate all the above movements. Okay. So some components of the cardiovascular system include, or the major components of the cardiovascular system include blood, heart, and the vessels. Okay. In outline, the blood comprises of blood cells and plasma. The blood cells are the erythrocytes, or the red blood cells as we normally call them, the leukocytes, or as we normally call them, white blood cells, and then the thrombocytes, which are the platelets. In some texts you find that the platelets are fragments of dead cells and etc. So you may find that in some texts you find thrombocytes, but in some texts you find platelets. Okay, so the plasma, when we remove the red blood cells and the white blood cells, the fluid that remains with the dissolved nutrients and proteins is what we call the plasma. Okay, so the heart is a four-chambered organ, approximately the size of a human fist. It is located at the upper surface of the diaphragm, left side of the midline, but behind the vertebral column. Okay, but yeah. So this is in general where the heart is located. You can see here that the heart is kind of more disposed to the left. Okay. You can also see here that the greater portion of, if we put like a line here, you can see that the heart is more of positioned to the left side of the chest. Okay, and you can see here the superior vena cava bringing blood from the head and the deoxygenated blood from the head and the arms. Okay, and you can see here the aorta again taking blood away from the heart to the rest of the body. These are very, very conspicuous vessels of the heart, which we shall talk about in a moment. Okay, so this is the structure of the heart. I want you to take note of the fact that the heart has got two sides separated by this some tissue here, which is the tissue separating here, okay, which is the septum. And then you can also see that this is the left side and then this is the right side. All right, and then these two sides, they both have atria and ventricles. Okay, so the atria is the atrium is the one which is on top. We've got the left atrium here, and then separated by these semilunar valves. So separated by these valves, these atrioventricular valves. Sorry. So the atria are separated from the ventricles by the atrioventricular valves. All right. You can see also the atrioventricular valves this side, and notice that the walls of the atria are thinner than the walls of the ventricles. Of course, this is because these are just adapted for receiving blood into the heart, so they don't need a lot of muscle here. And then the walls of the ventricles are thicker because these walls should be contracting so that they can push blood out of the heart to either the body or the lungs. So they need some kind of contractile muscle. Okay, and then you also notice that the left side of the heart, the walls of the left side are thicker than the walls of the right. This is because blood being pumped from the right side is much it's going to be pushed for a longer distance, so the walls of the left side are thicker, whereas these walls of the right are just going to be pushing blood for a short distance to the lungs. All right. Take note also of the valves. You said that we've got atrioventricular valves separating the atria from the ventricles, but we also have these semilunar valves. Okay, this one is the pulmonary artery taking blood away from the heart to the lungs. Whenever you see pulmonary, it means it's relating to the lungs. So we've got these valves to prevent backflow of blood, and we also have some valves here inside the pulmonary. Inside the pulmonary artery, we also have valves in the aorta as well. Okay, obviously to prevent the backflow of blood into the ventricles. So the aorta is the only artery which has got valves. All right. Then you can notice that this heart has got this vena cava bringing blood from the body. You notice that this side is kind of blue, signifying deoxygenated blood. This side is kind of red, signifying oxygenated blood. All right. So we talked about the functions of the heart. And the associated blood vessels, we talked about in outline, the arteries, the capillaries, and the veins. But the we should notice that the blood vessels are a closed network of tubes. The arteries are the main distributing channel. They take blood away from the heart. They are thick-walled, they are elastic, and they've got smooth circular muscle. Whereas the capillaries are also small parts of the arteries, which are one cell thick to reduce the diffusion distance, okay, and to also help in exchange of materials. And then the veins are the ones which bring back deoxygenated blood from the body, as well as the pulmonary vein bringing blood from the lungs. So, in general, blood vessels comprise of the following. They've got the tunica intima, you can see labeled 1, and we've got the tunica media, and then we've got the tunica adventitia or adventitia. Arteries are the blood vessels that carry blood away from the heart. You can see that in this wall is kind of thick, and this tunica media comprises of smooth muscle and elastic fiber, this one, alright. Then we've got the tunica adventitia, which are the collagen fibers, and then we've got the tunica intima, which is the endothelium inside which lines the lumen of the vessels. And the lumen is this empty space here, alright. This empty space here, this is what we call the lumen. Alright, so the arteries are the thickest, they carry blood under high pressure, and the blood is usually oxygen rich, or we just normally call oxygenated, alright. Their lumen is small compared to the veins, because they've got a lot of smooth muscle. They do not have valves except the aorta, and they branch into arterioles. The arteries branch into arterioles, then the arterioles branch into capillaries. Okay. So we've got the classes of arteries. We've got elastic arteries, which are the aorta, and its major branches, which are the main arteries which bring blood to most of the body. Then we've got muscular arteries, e.g. the one which brings blood to the kidneys, to the testes, alright, and to the bones here. And then we've got these arterioles, which are those small, thin, microscopic arteries which facilitate exchange of. So these are the smallest, these capillaries, and they connect the arteries and the veins, and they are so thin that they only allow one red blood cell to move at a time. Thereby, they ensure that stuff is going to be exchanged nicely, okay? And then the veins are the ones that carry blood back to the heart, and they've got valves to ensure that blood flows in one way, and thereby preventing backflow of blood. And the blood carried by the veins is high in or rich in carbon dioxide, so it is called deoxygenated blood. Not that there's no oxygen whatsoever, but the oxygen content is just low. Okay, so that's why the blood which has got oxygen content appears kind of bluish. All right. And the veins are thin-walled. They have a larger lumen as compared to the arteries now. And they've got valves. We talked about that one. And we've got large veins, small veins, and medium veins. Because pressure in the veins is going to be low, due to the fact that they are going to be affected by gravity, and blood has to go against gravity, etc. It therefore implies that other factors will be responsible for blood flowing back to the heart, e.g. muscle contraction and the pulsating action of arteries, and also the presence of valves enabling one-way flow of blood in the veins. Our circulation is mainly divided into two. We've got the pulmonary circulation, which exchanges blood between the heart and the lungs, and then we've got the systemic circulation, which exchanges blood between the heart and the body. Okay, and then we also have some circulations in like the coronary circulation. The heart is also going to receive oxygenated blood from the aorta, and then when a fetus is still developing, there's also some fetal circulation, which we'll just briefly talk about. So you can see the pulmonary circulation here, blood coming from the right ventricle via the pulmonary artery here, going to the lungs. So this is deoxygenated blood being carried to the lungs. It loses its oxygen in the alveoli, etc. It loses its carbon dioxide, and then gains oxygen. Then oxygenated blood comes back to the heart via the pulmonary vein into the left atrium via the atrioventricular valves into the left ventricle, then to the rest of the body via the aorta, which is going to branch into arteries, arterioles, and finally in the capillaries. All right. So this is the systemic circulation, whereby the blood is going to be transported to the rest of the body cells and back, and the pulmonary circulation or the pulmonary circuit is whereby the blood is going to be transported to the lungs and back to the heart. So you can see that in one complete circulation, blood moves from the heart back to the heart, okay? So, and then it moves to the lungs. So it is called a double circulation for two reasons. Number one, it comprises of a pulmonary circuit and a systemic circuit. Number two, because blood moves through the heart twice in one circulation, okay? All right. So this is just another picture of the heart, all right, showing how the heart receives blood from the aorta. And this is another one showing how blood is distributed in a developing fetus. Okay, this shall be important at a later stage. Sometimes there are some diseases which may affect the circulatory system. I'm just going to mention them, but we'll talk about coronary heart disease at a later stage. Okay, but just for mentions, we've got high blood pressure or hypertension. We've got stroke or hemorrhage. We've got atherosclerosis. Then we've got aneurysm. We've got coronary artery disease, which we generally call, this is part of a general group of diseases called coronary heart disease. We've got heart attacks. We've got heart failure. We've got anemia, hemophilia, leukemia. These are just some diseases which affect the circulatory system. So, although these are quite common, they are now affecting not only the older people, but even children and teenagers due to changes in diet and lifestyle. So you better take care of your heart, alright? So this is the end of our video. Thank you for listening. This is the first video of the circulatory system. I shall yet again post another one on blood and its associated and its functions, and I hope you will benefit much. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask.
White blood cells play a crucial role in our immune system, defending our body against infections and diseases. Neutrophils are the most common type of white blood cells. They are known as the first line of defense against bacterial infections. Lymphocytes are important for immune system regulation. They include B cells and T cells, which are responsible for antibody production and targeted killing of infected cells, respectively. Monocytes are large white blood cells that help to clean up debris and dead cells in the body. They also play a role in presenting antigens to T cells. Eosinophils are involved in allergic reactions and defense against parasites. They release toxic substances to destroy pathogens. Basophils are involved in allergic reactions and release histamine, which causes inflammation and helps attract other immune cells to the site of infection or injury. Macrophages are phagocytic cells that engulf and digest foreign substances, pathogens, and cellular debris. Dendritic cells are specialized antigen-presenting cells that capture, process, and present antigens to T cells, initiating an immune response. Natural killer cells are responsible for recognizing and killing infected or cancerous cells in the body. They play a vital role in immune surveillance. Mast cells are involved in allergic reactions and release histamine, which triggers inflammation and allergic symptoms. Plasma cells are responsible for producing and secreting antibodies, which are essential for immune responses against pathogens.
"20 awesome facts about blood platelets." Platelets are small, irregular-shaped cell fragments present in the blood. Platelets are produced in the bone marrow. On average, there are about 150,000 to 450,000 platelets per microliter of blood. Platelets play a crucial role in blood clotting. Platelets release clotting factors that promote the formation of fibrin, a protein necessary for clot formation. Platelets release clotting factors that promote the formation of fibrin, a protein necessary for clot formation. Platelets have a lifespan of about 7 to 10 days. Platelets are crucial for wound healing and preventing excessive bleeding. Platelets contain granules that release growth factors, which help in tissue repair and regeneration. Platelets contribute to the immune response by releasing cytokines and chemokines. Platelets can aggregate to form clumps, known as platelet plugs, to seal damaged blood vessels. Platelet counts can be affected by various diseases, medications, and lifestyle factors. Low platelet counts, called thrombocytopenia, can cause excessive bleeding, while high counts, thrombocytosis, may increase the risk of blood clots. Platelet transfusions can be used to treat conditions characterized by low platelet counts or dysfunctional platelets. Platelets are also involved in other physiological processes, such as angiogenesis and inflammation. Platelets contribute to the repair of injured blood vessels by forming a temporary plug until the vessel can be fully repaired. Platelets have a role in preventing infections by trapping and destroying bacteria. Platelets can release serotonin, which plays a role in vasoconstriction and regulating blood pressure. Certain medications, like aspirin, can interfere with platelet function and reduce their ability to form clots. Platelets have no nucleus but contain essential organelles, including mitochondria and granules. Research is ongoing to explore platelets' potential application in regenerative medicine and targeted drug delivery. "20 awesome facts about blood platelets." Platelets are small, irregular-shaped cell fragments present in the blood. Platelets are produced in the bone marrow. On average, there are about 150,000 to 450,000 platelets per microliter of blood. Platelets play a crucial role in blood clotting. Platelets release clotting factors that promote the formation of fibrin, a protein necessary for clot formation. Platelets release clotting factors that promote the formation of fibrin, a protein necessary for clot formation. Platelets have a lifespan of about 7 to 10 days. Platelets are crucial for wound healing and preventing excessive bleeding. Platelets contain granules that release growth factors, which help in tissue repair and regeneration. Platelets contribute to the immune response by releasing cytokines and chemokines. Platelets can aggregate to form clumps, known as platelet plugs, to seal damaged blood vessels. Platelet counts can be affected by various diseases, medications, and lifestyle factors. Low platelet counts, called thrombocytopenia, can cause excessive bleeding, while high counts, thrombocytosis, may increase the risk of blood clots. Platelet transfusions can be used to treat conditions characterized by low platelet counts or dysfunctional platelets. Platelets are also involved in other physiological processes, such as angiogenesis and inflammation. Platelets contribute to the repair of injured blood vessels by forming a temporary plug until the vessel can be fully repaired. Platelets have a role in preventing infections by trapping and destroying bacteria. Platelets can release serotonin, which plays a role in vasoconstriction and regulating blood pressure. Certain medications, like aspirin, can interfere with platelet function and reduce their ability to form clots. Platelets have no nucleus but contain essential organelles, including mitochondria and granules. Research is ongoing to explore platelets' potential application in regenerative medicine and targeted drug delivery.
Hello, how are you? This is our second plant. Okay, so at the end of the presentation, we should be able to recognize from microscope slides or electron micrographs. We should be able to recognize and draw red blood cells, white blood cells of special mention, the phagocytes, which are the monocytes and neutrophils, and the lymphocytes. We should also be able to determine and state the function of water being the main component of blood plasma and its role in transport in mammals. I'm sure we remember this from our section in biological molecules. And then we also want to find out how tissue fluid is formed and its functions in a capillary network. Now, blood is made up of 4 major components. We want to be able to determine what each of these 4 major components do. Firstly, it's made up of plasma, which is the liquid portion, that is blood minus all these cells. Then it's made up of the red blood cells, also called erythrocytes. It's made up of white blood cells, also called the leukocytes. And it's also made up of platelets, also called thrombocytes. The red blood cells, kind of, look at them, they look kind of donut shaped, okay? This shape enhances the surface area because this infolding also enables the cell to have a larger surface area, and also for withstanding pressure and for easy flow in capillaries. Again, you can see that from your knowledge you should be able to know that a mature red blood cell has no nucleus, so as to create additional space for hemoglobin, which means that the loss of the nucleus will also mean that the cell has got a short lifespan, and this cell can only last for about 120 days, after which it is destroyed in the liver and spleen and recycled. The iron is taken up to build new cells, and the other fragments are used to form bile. Okay. The hemoglobin inside the red blood cells is used to reversibly bind to oxygen, forming oxyhemoglobin, and thereby transporting oxygen around the body. So the oxygen is picked up in the lungs, transported to the body, and then they pick up carbon dioxide, the red blood cells, and bring it to the lungs where it is exchanged. So it implies that because these red blood cells have got a short lifespan, they are continually being formed in the red bone marrow and being destroyed after they've reached their expiration date. Okay. Of the cellular content in the blood, these make up the bulk of the cellular content in the blood. Of special mention, blood is red due to the presence of hemoglobin. So hemoglobin, you know from our lessons in biological molecules, hemoglobin is a complex protein made up of 4 protein strands, 2 alpha chains and 2 beta chains. And these polypeptide chains are bonded to heme groups, which contain iron. And each hemoglobin molecule can carry up to 4 oxygen atoms. And the presence of this ion in the hemoglobin makes the presence of oxygen in the hemoglobin makes the hemoglobin bright red, and thereby giving oxygenated blood its characteristic red color. Okay. So we say that the other red blood cells live up to about 120 days, after which they are recycled in the liver and the spleen. So the production of red blood cells is facilitated by this hormone, erythropoietin, and this hormone is made by the kidneys, and it works in the red bone marrow, okay, whereby it facilitates the production, or stimulates rather, the production of red blood cells. All right. So, as something to think about, if your diet is poor in iron, what do you think will happen to your red blood cells? Do you think you make fewer red blood cells because there's less iron to make hemoglobin, or you make more red blood cells to make up for the lack of iron in the hemoglobin, or you just, nothing will change? Okay, you've got what do you think? Obviously, you make fewer red blood cells, isn't it? Because there's less iron to make hemoglobin, which is needed in the red blood cells. So, it is interesting that some of the athletes at the Olympics use erythropoietin as a hormone to boost their performance. What do you think this hormone helps them to do? Food for thought. The other group of cells are the white blood cells. There are two types. There are the phagocytes, which are the ones which ingest by endocytosis or phagocytosis and destroy bacteria. And then there are the lymphocytes, which produce antibodies to destroy, which then therefore destroy the pathogens. And blood cells come in different shapes and types. Of special mention to our syllabus are the neutrophils. You can see that the nucleus is a bit lobed, and then we've got the phagocytes. We also have these monocytes. They've got a very large nucleus. You can see that the difference between a neutrophil and a monocyte is that this one seems to have a lobed nucleus, the neutrophil, and the monocyte seems to have a very large nucleus. But the lymphocyte is a bit smaller than the phagocytes, and its nucleus, although it is large, it is kind of sort of bean-shaped here. Okay, take note of those differences. And then the platelets are derived from a group of cells called megakaryocytes, and these ones they do not have a nucleus, and that therefore implies that they've got a very short lifespan, which is usually about 10 days. Okay, so these platelets are used in blood clotting. They aggregate at a wound, and then they produce some chemicals which stimulate a production of some clotting factors or clotting proteins, and then they help in clotting. The main one is the red blood cell. So if a person had a defect in the gene for fibrinogen, the obvious thing that would happen is that the person would have problems in blood clotting, isn't it? Okay. And then the plasma is the liquid portion of the blood, which is like a solution or suspension transporting water with the dissolved, mainly dissolved substances, e.g. glucose and amino acids, etc. Also, due to the high specific heat capacity, it means that this water enables the transport to be facilitated well, because the water will not change temperature rapidly, and hence the substances, or at least substances being transported, can be transported at a constant temperature. All right, and then the nutrients. We've got plasma transport nutrients, e.g. glucose, salts, etc. And then, of course, there are the plasma proteins, which like fibrinogen and other blood clotting proteins, some albumins as well, etc. And then, of course, transport of hormones, e.g. insulin, controlling body functions. And then, of course, some waste like urea, which is excreted. So, tissue fluid now. Tissue fluid now is a fluid surrounding cells of a tissue. It supplies these tissues or these cells with all their oxygen and nutrient needs, and removing all the waste, especially carbon dioxide. So tissue fluid is also important in substance exchange between the blood and the cells. And plasma from the blood capillaries move to the tissue through gaps in these walls of the capillaries, and they become tissue fluid, and they exchange their oxygen and nutrients with the cells, and then they take up the waste. This is, of course, an oversimplified diagram. These ones representing walls of the capillaries, and within these walls are gaps through which nutrients can escape, but the blood cells cannot escape because the walls, the gaps in the walls are too narrow, so the cells can continue moving. And you can see that these walls are narrow, so they can only allow one cell at a time, and hence this kind of slows things down, and hence enables maximum absorption or maximum exchange of substances. So at the end of the capillary bed, the tissue fluid leaks back into the blood and then becomes plasma again. Although not all of it is going to be absorbed. Some of it is absorbed by the lymphatic vessels and becomes lymph. So this is a more correct diagram representing what happens in the tissue fluid. We've got arterial bringing blood to the capillary bed. We've got the arterial dividing into a network of capillaries. Then the blood plasma leaks into this area, okay, and it becomes tissue fluid. Then the tissue fluid exchanges its contents and continues to move, takes up waste. Then at the end of the capillary bed, the tissue fluid is full of carbon dioxide and waste and leaks back again through some gaps, and then it becomes a vein now, a venue which will join a vein and then bring back the waste to the lungs and wherever they are needed for excretion. So in summary, we were able to look at red blood cells, white blood cells, and from photomicrographs and diagrams, and you were able to at least label them. And we also saw that water is the main component of blood, especially blood plasma, and its properties enable it to be used as a solvent and as a mediator to facilitate homeostasis. And then of course we saw that as the substances are being exchanged in the capillaries, tissue fluid is formed and helps exchange, and then the capillary network is also formed, which further enhances the exchange of materials. Okay, so thank you for listening. I hope you benefited much. Let's meet in the next video, which will be posted. If you have got any questions, please feel free to ask.
Platelets are small, irregular-shaped cell fragments present in the blood. Platelets are produced in the bone marrow. On average, there are about 150,000 to 450,000 platelets per microliter of blood. Platelets play a crucial role in blood clotting. Platelets release clotting factors that promote the formation of fibrin, a protein necessary for clot formation. Platelets release clotting factors that promote the formation of fibrin, a protein necessary for clot formation. Platelets have a lifespan of about 7 to 10 days. Platelets are crucial for wound healing and preventing excessive bleeding. Platelets contain granules that release growth factors, which help in tissue repair and regeneration. Platelets contribute to the immune response by releasing cytokines and chemokines. Platelets can aggregate to form clumps, known as platelet plugs, to seal damaged blood vessels. Platelet counts can be affected by various diseases, medications, and lifestyle factors. Low platelet counts, called thrombocytopenia, can cause excessive bleeding, while high counts, thrombocytosis, may increase the risk of blood clots. Platelet transfusions can be used to treat conditions characterized by low platelet counts or dysfunctional platelets. Platelets are also involved in other physiological processes, such as angiogenesis and inflammation. Platelets contribute to the repair of injured blood vessels by forming a temporary plug until the vessel can be fully repaired. Platelets have a role in preventing infections by trapping and destroying bacteria. Platelets can release serotonin, which plays a role in vasoconstriction and regulating blood pressure. Certain medications, like aspirin, can interfere with platelet function and reduce their ability to form clots. Platelets have no nucleus but contain essential organelles, including mitochondria and granules. Research is ongoing to explore platelets' potential application in regenerative medicine and targeted drug delivery.